Mr. Martin Inkumbi, thank you very much for your time, sir. It's highly appreciated, making time for the New Era's Business Desk. You are the relatively new CEO and Principal Officer of GIPF. Firstly, congratulations on the appointment, sir. I think it's well-deserved. Tell us about the image of GIPF that you had before coming in to this institution and how that image has changed now that you are in the mix of things.
Thank you. Firstly, thank you for listening us and thank you for the opportunity to talk to you. I must say one of the things that came to me is that when I was outside GIPF, often, especially us coming from the financial sector, banks, maybe those in the asset management industry and so on. When we look at GIPF, we are seeing this big pot of money. After all, GIPF is one of the biggest balance sheets in the country. Now close to $165 billion. So many a times the view is how could this money obviously, yes, be invested and managed, but how can it also have got impact in the Namibian economy? That's always the view, but I think the question of, or the liability part of GIPF is not really talked about. That there is an obligation to provide benefits in members of the fund in the future. That is often not emphasized enough out there. But when you come inside, you realize that there is that balance, and then you have to manage that balance. So you need to manage the investments in order to cater for the future needs of the members. So that is really the main issues that I came inside the fund.
These benefits that you are talking about, Martin, these are post-retirement benefits. Correct? In the short, medium, and long term, is it sustainable for the GIPF to continue paying out these benefits to its members?
Yes. Yes, obviously, by and large, they are post-retirement benefits. But there are also benefits that can be availed before retirement. In case of, for example, ill health, death, in most cases, the fund also provide benefits. But by and large, for those members that proceed to retirement, the benefit comes post-retirement. In terms of sustainability, yes, that is the center of the business of GIPF. We always need to understand and estimate the future liability of the fund. And obviously, we are assisted by experts, actuaries who value and estimate the future liabilities of the fund and compare that to the assets that we have in the fund, which is the money that we have invested across the globe, and to measure whether those funds are enough to meet the future liabilities. As it's reported in the integrated annual report that we released last month, the fund is well funded at about 115%. So it is advised that a well-funded pension fund should have a funding level of between 105 and 115. So the GIPF at this moment is really at the higher end of that threshold. So it is quite in a strong position to meet the future needs. The challenge is that we need to continue making very sound investment, protecting those assets, and making sure that there's sufficient returns, ensure meet the family able to meet future liabilities. So at the moment, we're not worried.
You mentioned one of the key aspects of the fund, which is making sound investments. Where currently is GIPF investing most of its money? Is it invested locally or is it invested internationally?
Well, it is very close to 50%. The fund has got about 50% of its investment locally, mainly in listed assets, that is bonds on the Namibian Stock Exchange, obviously including dual listed assets. Those would be the stocks that are listed on both the Namibian Stock Exchange but also the JSE. And then also in fixed income instruments, mostly government bonds, but also other commercial papers. So that is about between 45 to 50% of the assets that are in Namibia. The rest are invested globally.
These investments that GIPF makes, you don't make these investments directly, do you? Do you always work through investment managers for this purpose?
By and large, yes, the fund always work through investment and asset managers. Firstly, we start by looking at and establishing an investment strategy that is informed by the future liabilities. Remember, I mentioned that it's always very important to have regard to the liabilities, and then having regard to the liability, then you establish an investment strategy which will guide you in terms of what type of assets should you be invested in for you to pay the return, maintain the liquidity that is needed for you to be able to pay future liabilities. So starting with that, then we invest in the appropriate assets through selected asset managers. And obviously, you also need to select your asset managers carefully, having regard to their expertise, reputations, investment philosophies, such that they are able to help you to achieve and realize your investment strategy.
And I think that's one of the crucial aspects of any fund is what you mentioned is to select those fund and asset managers very carefully. In terms of local capacity of our fund and asset managers, are is that capacity at the level where you think it should be? And if not, what can JBF and the market in general do to further capacitate that specific sector of the market?
Yeah. I'd say there's always room for improvement. Obviously, there are large institutional asset managers for corporate companies here in the Netherlands that we all know that has got the long-term experience, the in-depth capacity to manage, especially listed investments. But I think to be inclusive, it's also very important to also bring in asset managers from can call it previously disadvantaged champions. And GIBF have started with that program and it's ongoing. And I think it's doing very well, especially the incubation program. It's a couple of can call it startups asset managers that have been given mandate, always in partnership by and large with experienced technical advisors that have been in the industry for a while to assist and guide them. Then that program is ongoing, and I think we towards the end of this year we will do an evaluation and we will see how it will.
So based on that evaluation, are you going to continue with this incubation program?
Well, maybe too early to say at this moment, but we would be conducting the assessment maybe in a month's time. So the tenure of most of these incubation asset managers will start coming to an end between August and maybe November. But before that, we will have concluded our assessment and see will we continue with the incubation program or will they be graduated. Then maybe, they graduated to be a little bit more independent. Then maybe they qualify to go into larger portions of business. So that is something that needs to consider.
Okay.
The decision about process.
Understood. Let's quickly talk about the structure of GIBF, because right now GIBF is listed as a defined benefit fund, and this is in contrast to other similar entities that are defined contribution funds. Can you maybe briefly explain to us what the difference is between those two classifications and which one holds more risk for GIBF?
Well, as you mentioned, GIBF is a defined benefit fund, meaning that members' post-retirement benefit is predetermined and is guaranteed, informed by a number of variables. The number of years the person has been a member of the fund is one of the variables. The remuneration level, the salary level the person was earning while in employment. So those are some of the variables which will determine what is the quantum of retirement amount the person qualified and getting from the fund post-retirement. And it's guaranteed for life. That's the main difference between a defined benefit as compared to a defined contribution. So it's defined and it's for life. The defined contribution, which you find mostly in the private sector, the member is entitled to what he or she has contributed into the fund, plus the return that the fund has earned. So that is the amount of money, a top of money that will be available to you as a member is you what you have contributed, your own contribution, and obviously the employer's contribution, plus the return that your pot of money has earned over the years. So with that, you can then buy the retirement annuity. Then the quantum of the retirement annuity that you can buy really depends on the size of your investment in the pension fund. So that's the main difference. The defined contribution pension fund is probably posing lower risk to the pension, to the fund, or to the employer because what you put in plus the return is what you are entitled to. You are not guaranteed anything else. While in a defined benefit fund, which is the case of GLBF, there is that obligation to ensure that the individual gets the specific amount of pension until the end of his or her life.
Are there any plans to change GIPF's classification from defined benefit to defined contribution?
Not at the moment. That pressure is not on it.
Okay. That's good news for all our pensioners and soon-to-be pensioners. You recently had a responsible investment symposium. Tell us about the outcome of that symposium, and perhaps if you can add on to that, how important is it for GIPF's investments to be made responsible?
Well, yeah, it is very important to GIPF. The fund has taken a position that it would like to be a responsible investor. The fund would like its investments to preserve the environment, to have a positive social impact, and also to be made following good governance practices. So that is really the abbreviation of ESG, environment and social governance practices. And the idea is that if you follow such an approach, you're more likely to have positive impact in the community in which you are investing, and also a positive impact on the environment, natural environment in which you are operating. And following good governance can also protect encourage your investment. So GIPF does not directly make investments. We work through office of the investment manager. The symposium was really to align the vision and the expectation of GIPF and those of the asset and investment managers when it comes to responsible investment. So we had that discussion. We emphasized the importance of living in this world and
Great. Martin, the new FEMA regulations have been a bone of contention both for retirement funds as well as for individuals. One of the major bone of contention is the preservation fund. Perhaps you can tell us what your personal view is, or what GIPF's view is on the new regulations and on the preservation clause.
Okay. Well, firstly, there is always this misconception that the FEMA bill is GIPF's invention. Some people like that think. I want to make it clear that it is not. It is a law that is it can be crafted and hopefully it will be in effect in the near future. GIPF just is one of the pension funds that need to comply, just like the other pension fund, once FEMA is done to effect. Now, yes, there is the issue around the preservation clause in the pension fund where there will be a limitation on how much a person can withdraw when either they are before retirement. When they are, for example, changing jobs, and they can have access to their pension or the portion. I think currently it's 1/3. So they accept then the provision to can preserve the idea is don't draw much of the leisure, keep it for retirement. And then obviously there are those who said no, but it's our choice. Let's make our decision. We can access our funds, then we can make better use of it. So it's really a very difficult one. Um, we all know, however, that there are many Namibians that goes into retirement and they are challenged. And we know there's a lot of our people out there going to retirement that will find it very difficult financially to make ends meet. And the whole idea, I think, was the more we can assist people to preserve their savings, especially their retirement savings until retirement age, the better. But then obviously the counter argument is, well, maybe I can make it better use of my money now so that I can even grow it. And yeah. So my personal view obviously is that it's better to preserve your savings for the time that you really need it.
Thanks, Martin. The benefits that GIPF provides to its members post-retirement, do you have an idea of how that compares to similar products in the market?
Um, yes, we haven't really recently done a specific assessment, um, but it's my considered view that benefits provided by GIPF are quite superior. Um, Looking at a person with the same number of years of employment, maybe earning more or less the same level of living ambition um, elsewhere. Firstly, it is guaranteed for life for the individual. Then obviously there is inflationary adjustments that are granted from time to time. This year we just recently announced that there will be a 5% inflationary adjustment on our annuities or for our annuitants. So those are some of the positives, including obviously the medical aid scheme. So I do think that the fund's benefits are competitive.
For pensioners and soon to be pensioners who want to access some of their GIPF funds in order to make building alterations or to maybe add a piece of building to an existing property, how does that process work? And would you advise someone to access these funds in order to do that?
Well, I think my predecessor just before he left GIPF late last year did announce the intention the very long scheme program that the fund is looking at. A lot of background work has already been done. It is being considered by various authorities and that hopefully will come into effect soon. Now, it's one of the programs, and we can also call it a benefit for a member that you can, through that program, access a portion of your pension fund um, to either build a home, even in an unproclaimed area. Obviously, that can then include making addition improvements or constructing a new residence from scratch. So I think that's an additional benefit at the moment. So yes, it's a good thing.
If, like you said, the groundwork has been laid for that specific benefit, would that benefit work through a third party, or would it be an agreement between the member and GIPF?
There would be a third party, an institution, or maybe a couple that will be able to do the admin work. Um, yes, that is how it.
Okay, great. Um, let's talk about GIPF's growth forecast for the medium to long term. What do you foresee in terms of growth for the fund?
I expect there to be a steady growth in terms of the asset growth, in line with the market development. But in terms of membership of the fund, we will not expect significant growth. The large participating employer is the government, and we have seen over the past few years that the number of public servants have not been growing significantly. So in terms of number of members, it will be a very mild growth for the next few years. But obviously, we are focused on making investments with an aim and objective of growing the total asset.
GIP's members are obviously dispersed all over the country, and some of them probably outside the country. How do you deal with timeously paying out the benefits to your members? How do you overcome some of the challenges that I'm sure that you encounter?
Yes. Well, we have an efficient member benefit payment system, obviously using our banking system, using technology. And the other challenge is we need to verify our members that they are still in life and that we can continue paying. And that we need to do on every third month or so. And that is one of the challenges because some of you indicated some of our members are really in the far corners of the country, especially. That we are using technology. Obviously, we have a branch network or a network of offices in major centers. Our members come there for verification, but we have also a biometric verification system that we have introduced, and that is improving our accessibility and the verification process. So I can say we don't have challenges making payments or verifying the existence of our members at this stage.
Great. Martin, I think that does it for questions from my side, but please feel free to add anything. If you want to share anything with your members, with the Namibian nation, you are at liberty to do so, sir.
Yeah, no, I can only encourage the members of GIPF from time to time when the GIPF officials visit the regions to attend. There is always good information that is being shared about the fund, the benefits that are available in the fund, and the process of how to access these funds. And there's often also advice on how to prepare for retirement. So I will encourage our members to attend these sessions.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Also,
Appreciate it.